Okay, for our next example, we're going to do a new part, but this time we're going to go and do this slightly differently. So we're going to go into ordered modelling and we're going to do a full history-based ordered modelling. So make sure on ordered, make sure on the home tab at the top. Our first feature is going to be an extrude. So if you find the extrude tab at the top, click on the top plane. And what we're going to do, we're going to choose circle by centre point, and we're going to go 60mm on there and place that feature. So what we're going to do is think about building this component that we're going to do up from simple features. I'll do 6mm, enter. At that point I realise that I've done the wrong size, so I'm going to go in there and I'm going to go and change that to 80. So we get this real nice little dynamic edit option. If this pops up, click do not show and click OK on there. And then click finish on there. So that's our first feature done on there. Next, we're going to stay in the extrude command. Notice this stays live. We can press escape to do cancel, or we can choose whatever we want. We don't have to get rid of this. But this time, we're going to click on the top face. This means that this feature will always build up on top of the existing feature. What we're going to do this time, we're going to do 2 circles this time. One that's 30mm diameter, and then another one that's 24. So we can just type it and press enter, and go and place those, and then press escape out of there. Once we've done that, we can press the to exit the sketch, and that's going to go and allow us to go and extrude that up 60mm, and then left click to confirm we want to go up, because we could have gone down as well. That extend step would have allowed me to do 60mm up or down. Notice this add and cut is automatic. If it does start to do the wrong one, we can choose the option to go and do add cut or other options available. Okay, so next I want to go and create a little kind of brace feature. So this is a circular feature, so creating a bracing feature on here is always going to cause a problem, because there's something called a zero thickness manifold condition. So if I draw a line, don't do this, this is just for reference. If I draw a line from here and go and create this line and draw this profile, this is an impossible point. It's touching, but it's not actually touching. It's what we call a zero thickness manifold condition. So we have to be very careful in Solid Edge about making sure that we don't do those. So what we've got a little workaround that allows us to create a model and then modify it later on. So what we're going to do, we're going to go up here to add body. So this is going to go and create an independent body on there. I'm going to stick with the default settings on here and click OK. And then we're going to do an extrude command, and this time I'm going to go and choose the front plane. So I'm going to go and expand our reference planes again and just click on front on there. If we leave that expanded, that's really useful. We're then going to stay in the line command. I'm going to go and draw like a trapezium style shape. So we're going to go up, across, making use of what we call IntelliSketch, and it picks up all the appropriate points. I want to make sure this connects to the end of that line. If I hover over the line and press the E key, that's going to go and finish that line at the end point of that line. Then press escape to cancel the line and choose the smart dimension command, and we'll dimension that side one 20, and we'll dimension this one 35. We can go and change these as we need to. So if we then close the sketch on here, we're going to go into our extrude options, and we'll have a look at different options. So in the extent step, we're going to choose symmetrical extent, and we're going to choose finite extent, and then we're going to do 6 and enter, and that's going to go and create our feature. Double check those sizes. We can go and change those up and down if we need to, but I'm happy with those sizes, so I'm going to leave that as that is now. So what we can now do is go and kind of fix this. So we've currently got this on here. If I try and union these together, put these into one, it should give me an error, or it might just move the face a little bit, but I want this to be accurate. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to find the replace face, and I'm going to replace that flat face with a curve on here. So it's on the surfacing tab, but we can also use our little option on here to go and find the command that we want. So if I go and put REPL, that's going to find replace face. It's going to allow me to click on replace face on here, and it's going to go and start that command for us. So replace face, we click on the face or the faces that we want to replace, right click or green tick to accept, and then pick the face that we want that to go to. See, that's now changed, and we've now got our curved face and finish on here. Okay, now we've got to that point, I've got to a point where I'm pretty sure I want to save that now. So I'm going to go and save that. And if we just call that, so if we're using data management, go and put this in on here. So this is a, let's call this a boss. And we can go and save that. Okay, so now we've got that on there. If we try replacing face on here, so if I can replace face and it's probably going to get an error because it doesn't like it because it's two different bodies. So what we need to do is think about replacing the face once we've patterned this body around. So we want to pattern this body around 3 times. But I'm thinking about the design. I actually want a hole in here, so I'm going to put the hole in first so I can pattern that with it. So if I go and choose the hole command and click on that face on there, when we go into the hole command, we can go to our hole options on here. I'm going to get quite a large dialog box. This allows us to go and choose from different types of holes. We can hover over simple, threaded, countable, countersink, cone. So for this one, we're going to do a simple. I'm going to have a threaded, it's going to look like a rivet or something. So I'm going to go and choose drill size. And I'm going to go and say I want to put 8 mil, so I'm going to put a little bit of clearance. So I'm going to go 8.2 on there. And I'm going to stick to exact. I'm going to go and add tolerance on here if we need to. I want to make sure this hole is through all or through next. I'm going to go through all on here. So appropriate options are grayed out. If I click OK on there, and then go and place the hole. What I'm also going to do, I'm going to do a line, and I'm going to go and place a line from there to there. So hover over wherever you can always hover over there and press E to get the endpoint, and then right click to cancel. We can then press escape, choose the hole. See if there's any kind of options where we can use the connect command and connect that to the centre there. So if I choose that option, that's going to allow me to go and connect that to there. This line, even though it's not construction, because it's created as part of the hole command, we can't have lines in the hole command, so as soon as we exit the sketch, it's going to turn into a construction line automatically. So we don't need to do that extra step on there. We can then click finish and cancel out of that command. So next I'm going to look at these options. So I've got my protrusion, I've got my replace face, and I've got my hole. I then want to go and pattern those. So I'm going to click on the pattern command, and I want the pattern reference to be a sketch drawn on this face. In synchronous we can choose edges, cylinders and stuff, but in ordered we have to draw a sketch pattern. So up in the top left we might be on rectangle, we might be on circular. If we make sure we're on the circular option on here, we won't have the other options, these are custom. We'll see how we create custom shortcuts in another lesson. So what we're going to do for the pattern, we're going to select the origin, and then we're going to drag out to a key point. So I'm going to go and drag out to that key point, and then this little box I'm going to select 3 and tab. And we're then going to go and see what that will look like. Now this little arrow saying, so if we had a partial, we'd need to know which way we're going to go. We're going to go up or down, so we always need to define that just with a left click. And now we've got 3 blue dots representing where those features are going to be. Once we close that, that's going to go and pattern those features around for us. We've got 2 options on here. We've got fast and smart. So fast will kind of pattern simply. Smart will extend and shrink items depending on where it's patterned to. Fast is the option that we want to try and use as much as possible. And then click finish on there. If we do a quick Control S to go and save that part. So next we want to go and union these items together. So if we go to where we added add body and find the union command, we can then go and select the options that we want on here. So if we go select one body and then select the other, and then green tick to accept, finish, and then cancel, let's now turn that into one single part. We've still got this slight issue on here, so we are going to have to go and replace face again. So replace face is on the surfacing tab, about halfway across, or just over halfway across. So this time we're going to select 3 faces to change. So we're going to select that face, and that face. Right click to accept, and then select that cylinder, and that's going to go and match all those faces nicely for us on there now. So it's looking reasonably good. So next we're going to have a look at some rounding. So I'm going to go to the Home tab. You'll notice this little AI machine learning option has picked up some of the options that I would normally do, so it recognises once I get to this kind of level I normally do a round. So we can choose round from up here, or I can choose it from there. And there's also a menu. If you press and hold your right mouse button, this will give us options as well. So I can go and choose the round on there. So when we're rounding, we start with the larger ones and work our way down on here. So I'm going to start with a couple of 3s. So I'm going to do this edge and this edge. I'm going to do that in all these locations. If we're good, we can kind of hover through and find out where those rounds would be, and we don't have to rotate our model. So quite often we can go and find, oh well, I figure that one's going to be over here somewhere. So I can kind of spin around, or I can just spin it around and just go and get that edge on there. We are still in preview mode here, so if we decide we want to go and change that, so I want to do a 5, I'll push 5 and tab, it's going to give us a live preview. 6 tab, sizes larger. I'm then going to do an accept and preview, and I'm going to call this round 6mm, just so we know that's a 6mm round. Okay, so now I'm going to do some smaller ones, but this time I'm going to use a face. On here I'm going to do some 1mm rounds. I'm going to go and click on these faces on here. So we should get 9 of those all together. Then what I'm going to press Control and I'm going to deselect these circles. I don't want cylinders to have the rounding on those as well. Then press Accept, Preview and Finish. Get that part looking quite nice on there now. So next we're going to do a chamfer. So this is having a tube go into it, but I want like a very mild chamfer on the top. So if we find the drop down under the round command and go to chamfer and go to options, we can see we've got different options. Equal setback should be the default setting, so that's like a 50-50, 45-degree style chamfer. But what I want for this is angle and setback. Select OK on there. So we need to select a face and an edge. So we can do this either way. So if I select that one, I'm going to be doing a 89. If I select that one, I'm going to be doing a 1mm chamfer. So depending on which one, depends what value we need. So if I select that face, accept, select that edge, and then you can see that's currently creating a tiny little chamfer like that at 88, where I said I wanted to do a 1. So if I do a 1mm chamfer, we can see how deep that is, and I can say, well, I want that to slide in nicely, say 15mm, and that's got me a 1mm chamfer, so it's going to make that easier. Or maybe I can do a 2, so I can do a little, that's probably better. So that'll make sure that slots in nicely on there. I can then accept and finish and cancel. Next time I do another couple of rounds, a couple of 0.5s. This time I'm going to do edge and corner, and I'm just going to go and choose those 2 edges on there. I'm also going to go and select this bottom one here as well. You can see that I've actually made a little mistake here and missed one of the edges on here. So what we can do is hover over, and then when the mouse comes up with this little menu button on here, so hover, keep your mouse still, right click, that will allow us to go and see the appropriate items. So I want to go and find this round command, so if I click on the round command, this little menu is going to pop up and we can choose these different options. So for this one I want the left hand option, edit definition, and this will allow me to go back to my edges step and go and add the edge that I missed. You might not have missed the edge, but I did. So you might be able to miss that step on there. Again, if we save that, I always like to do Control I, which is an isometric view, and then a Control S to go and save it. Sometimes I'll scale it in before I do the save as well, to make sure we get a nice thumbnail preview of that component on there. Okay, so next we want to create a hole, and this hole needs to go on this face. So what we need to do, we need to use tangent plane. So when we choose tangent plane, we need to go and click on the cylinder that we're going to go and create this on. So it's always a good idea when we're creating one of these cylinders to kind of make sure we use one of our normal views. So notice I clicked on the front view on there. So that means that I can go and figure out exactly where this is going to be. So I can do a 300, a 60, or a 180 on there. So that makes sure that my hole is going to be normal to there. I'm going to go to my hole options, I'm going to go to simple, and I'm just going to do another drill size, and this time I'm going to go 10.5. Make sure that extent is through next this time, because we just want to go through the first face. Click OK, and then for this one I'm going to kind of drag that and try and create a link to one of those kind of midpoints on there. And then I'm going to use Smart Dimension, click on the hole, and then I'm going to click on the very origin point. I'm going to go and do a 35mm dimension on there. It's going to go and position our hole. We can then accept that. That's going to do that through next automatically, and we can then click finish on there. Cancel. This time I want to make sure that clips in there a little bit easier, so I'm going to do a tiny little chamfer. So I want to go and choose my chamfer command, options, equal setback, and then I'm going to do, let's try 1 mil. So press 1 and tab, that will kind of give us a preview, and we can see what that's going to look like. So that's going to be right on there, so it's going to make sure that that slips in there nicely, and finish. I'm going to do another round just to make sure we haven't got any sharp edges on there. I can do a 0.25 on that edge. Got a nice bit of, we haven't got any sharp edges apart from ones that we require. We don't require, we've just got the ones in the bottom. If I really wanted to, I could go back and go round 4. Let's go and add this bottom edge on there with that select step. So we can go I, Control I to get back to there. Next, let's have a look at materials. So if we double click on material, that's going to allow us to go and find our material section. So if we go into our non-metals, plastics, we want polypropylene, let's go high impact, ABS, medium impact is black, so that's the colour we're going to go for. Click OK. It's going to show that appropriate style. On there, save that. And that's all ready for us to go and do some drafting of that later on. Hopefully that's been useful. Thank you very much.